Hello, welcome to today's 30-minute prenatal flow. My name is Alethea. I will be guiding you today. For today, we will need a couple props. So if you have bolster, pillows, blankets, blocks, feel free to go ahead and grab some of those as we'll get started today in a comfortable seat propped up with a bolster and a blanket. So go ahead and feel free to grab those. I'm going to do everything in real time, so go ahead and grab those, rolling up maybe a blanket if your bolster, like mine, is a little low, just so that you can come to a squat or a kneeling here with the legs wide open around the bolster. So feel free to take a couple moments just to wiggle in, noticing if you want to be higher, if you want to stack something else, and just get acquainted with this posture, making sure that the legs are open enough to have space for baby, no matter what time or what portion you are in your pregnancy, just finding a comfortable and a wider stance with the legs. And then from here, maybe you want to bring hands to baby, or you want to bring the hands to your thighs, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. And we're just going to start with a little breath awareness. So we're just going to notice how we're breathing today. So if you'd like, you can close the eyes or choose a soft gaze point, whatever feels more welcoming for you today. And then as you get settled in, as you observe your natural breath, just notice where the breath goes in your body. So without changing your breath just yet, noticing where the breath goes. So maybe you feel the chest rise and fall. Maybe you feel the ribs expand, or maybe you feel baby move a little up and down or out and in, whatever it might be. And as you continue to breathe naturally, perhaps you start to observe the sensations in the body, just noticing what might be tight today, what might be sore. We're going to work with those limitations, so not going past any today. And whenever you feel ready, feel free to take a slower, deep breath in through the nose and exhale out through the nose. Doing that a couple more times, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Breathing in through the nose. Breathing out through the nose. And then from here, feel free to keep the eyes closed if you have them, or keep them at a soft gaze point. And now we're going to bring our awareness down to the hips. So we're going to use that same nice, slow, deep breath and kind of bring an awareness to our hips. So for this visualization, imagining a bright silver light on the left hip, and as you inhale, draw a smiley face all the way to the right hip. And as you exhale, that smiley face goes back to the left. So a lot like a crescent moon or a smiley face, just going from hip to hip with your breath. Whenever you feel ready. So starting with that inhale, let that smiley face or crescent moon go to the right hip. As you exhale, drawing it back to the left. Inhale, drawing that semicircle to the right. Exhale, drawing it back to the left. Inhale, drawing it to the right. Exhale, drawing it to the left. Now feel free to take a little bit more slower breaths if that's something that's calling you. Just visualizing that silver light go back and forth from right to left, left to right. Maybe noticing if you feel any sensations or if baby's moving or slowing down. Just noticing how this nice, slow, steady breath feels. And whenever you feel ready, feel free to release that visualization. Feel free to continue the breath. If you'd like, if you have your eyes closed, feel free to blink them open. Or if you're staring at a soft gaze point, maybe bringing a little bit more focus into the eyes. And then we'll start today's class with just a little vocalization. So you can bring, again, hands to baby or hands onto the thighs. And we're going to sing 3 sounds. So we'll sing the vowel ah, the vowel oo, and the vowel m. And we'll sing them 3 times. And each time with ah, we'll be concentrating on baby and how that feels, and how baby feels, and how you feel. And the ooh will be in the middle, just feeling maybe how the ribs feel, the mid-back. And then we'll do in the chest, noticing the sensations in the chest. So we'll go ah, ooh, and we'll do that 3 times. So whenever you're ready, if you'd like to close your eyes again or choose a soft gaze point, we'll start with ah. So take a nice inhale, exhale, ah. Noticing the sensations with baby. We'll get ready for ooh. Take a nice inhale through the nose. Exhale, ooh. Noticing the sensations in the midsection. And finally, whenever you're ready, nice inhale. Noticing the sensations in your chest. We'll do that 2 more times if you'd like to join. Take a nice inhale. Focus on baby. Ah. Nice inhale. Exhale. Ooh. Noticing the sensations in the midsection. And then finally, take a nice deep breath in and exhale. Noticing the sensations in the chest. This time we'll do it complete and I won't do any cueing, so go ahead and feel free just to take a nice deep breath in. Feel free to go back to a nice, slow, steady breath that feels sustainable for you. Just noticing how that feels. Maybe feeling sensations in baby or within you. Just taking a couple breaths here. And then from here, we're going to slowly remove the pillow or bolster and blankets from underneath. So just coming up onto the knees, go ahead, slide them out. And we're going to come onto our hands and knees. So feeling free to bring the knees wider than your hips, making sure you have space for baby, and bringing the hands about shoulder width apart. And from here, we're going to start to get into the spine. So whenever you feel ready, just noticing if you're already letting baby take over and you're starting to dip. So just a little bit of a neutral spine here. And then whenever you feel ready, inhale, go ahead and let the weight of baby start to arch the back, gazing forward. And then on the exhale, rounding into the spine, chin goes towards the chest. Inhale, arch the back, gazing forward, noticing the sensations. And as you exhale, rounding the spine, chin to chest. Inhale, coming into cow. And exhale, coming into cat. Inhale, coming into cow. And exhale, coming into cat. Again, inhale, coming into cow, and exhale, coming into cat. Feel free to go a couple at your own pace. So noticing if you want to go faster, if you want to go slower. Noticing the sensations in the body. And then if you like, maybe you want to do a little bit of hip circles. So maybe not moving the head so much, but start to move the hips in one direction in a circle. And still feeling that arch and curve in the spine. And then whenever you're ready, maybe you want to go in the opposite direction. So making the circle go in the opposite direction. Again, no need to move the head if you don't want. And if you want, maybe you want to move the head in circles. But feel free just to move into the hips. Noticing how the low back feels. And then whenever you feel ready, feel free to come back to center. And if you'd like, go ahead, sit back, nice wide knees, and maybe shake out the wrists. And we'll come back to all fours whenever you're ready. Again, keeping the knees wider than the hips. And then from here, maybe you want to extend one leg back, straight back, toes tucked onto the mat or floor. And feel free to start to shift the weight forward and back, just noticing how the back of the leg feels, the sensation. If it feels a little bit intense in the wrist, feel free to bring them a little bit further forward. Our weight, our gravity, our center of gravity changes with pregnancy, so feel free to make adjustments that feel right for you. And then from here, maybe you come back to stillness and maybe slide that foot to the opposite side. So getting a little bit more into the hip. Feel free to gaze down towards the mat if that feels comfortable. Maybe you want to gaze forward or maybe towards the shoulder or even the foot that's behind. Whatever feels right for you. Breathing deep for 1. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 3. Go ahead and let that leg slide back to center. You can bring the knee down again, wider than our hips. And if you'd like, just sit back, give a nice little shake or flick, and we'll get ready to do the other side. So bringing the hands back down to all fours, tabletop. And again, noticing how your wrists feel. Maybe you want to adjust. And then take the opposite leg straight back, toes tucked under on the floor or mat. And then maybe you shift the weight forward and back. And just noticing how that feels. Maybe you noticing the sensations in the back of the leg. Or maybe you notice the intensity in the wrist. So feel free, move those hands, adjust that center of gravity. And then whenever you feel ready, coming back to stillness, and then sliding that foot to the opposite side. Again, feel free to gaze down towards the mat, forward, maybe to the shoulder, or to that back foot. Whatever feels best in the hip and low back for you today. Breathing for 1. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 3. Go ahead, bring that leg back to center, keeping the legs nice and wide. Feel free to sit back. Again, give the wrist a nice little shake or wiggle. And then from here, we're going to come into a comfortable seat. So you can lower down onto your sits bones. Maybe you want to bring the soles of the feet together. Maybe you prefer cross leg. Maybe you prefer the legs spread out. Just trying to give the hips a little bit of space and having baby have enough room. I'm going to change my view so you can see me from the front on. So I'm going to do with the soles of the feet together. And then from here, feel free just to gaze over one shoulder, whichever shoulder you choose. Just taking some nice slow breaths, noticing how everything feels. Noticing the placement of the shoulders, if you can let them sink a little further down. And then whenever you feel ready, feel free to bring the head back to center, and we'll gaze towards the opposite side. Again, only going as far as feels comfortable. No need to go past your limit. Just getting a little bit of movement into the neck. Whenever you feel ready, coming back to center. And then maybe just gazing up only as far as you feel a little slight opening in the neck and throat. So no need to go all the way back, just a slight lift, deep breaths. And then whenever you're ready, coming back to center. And then allow the chin to go down towards the chest. No need to touch again. Just finding a slight stretch in the back of the neck. Deep breaths. Good. Then from here, feel free to come back to center. And maybe starting with whatever hand is calling you, let that hand come down onto the mat or floor. And maybe the opposite hand comes onto the hip or reaches up or comes over for a nice side body stretch. Just notice if you can push both hips down at the same time, equal. Breathing for 1. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 3. Slowly coming back to center. And we'll switch to the other side. Let the opposite hand come down. Maybe one hand on the hip. Maybe up, straight up, or maybe over. Getting that nice side body stretch. Again, just noticing if the weight is going into one hip. See what happens if you can push both hips down, leveling them. Breathing for 1. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 3. Slowly coming back to center. Feel free to bring the hands behind you and just bringing the shoulder blades together, opening in the chest. Maybe you want to gaze forward. Just really let yourself open through the chest. Let the shoulders come. Or if this feels really intense, maybe you want to come into cactus arms and really bring the shoulder blades together. Either or, whatever's calling you today. And we'll take 2 more deep breaths. Breathing for 1. Breathing for 2. Slowly coming back to center, we're going to do a gentle twist. So really just allowing maybe the shoulders to turn. We're going to let baby stay where it is, where you feel comfortable just having it here in the center. And then allowing the shoulders just to twist slightly, no matter how your legs are, straight, crisscross, or like me, soles of the feet. We'll just breathe. You can always bring a hand down for support onto the mat or floor. Breathing for 1. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 3. Slowly releasing. And then we'll let our shoulders go to the other side. So again, just allowing baby to stay where they are. Just finding a soft twist, a nice little rotation in the shoulders. Breathing for 1. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 3. Slowly coming back to center. And we'll come back onto hands and knees just for a moment to transition. So take your time to safely come to hands and knees. Again, keeping the knees wider than our hips. From here, if you can, tuck the toes under, start to push back, and keep the feet wider than our hips, nice wide, maybe even as wide as the mat as we come into the down dog. So maybe you have the knees bent, or maybe you have them a little bit more straight, maybe you need more space for baby, that's up to you. And then from here, just allowing yourself to start to walk the feet towards the hands towards the feet. Take your time to get there, keeping the knees bent if that feels comfortable. And then keeping the feet nice and wide, again, wider than hip distance. Just taking your time to slowly roll up. So take your time, no rush. Allowing yourself to fully stand up at your own pace. And then once you're fully standing, maybe you want to give everything a nice shake or wiggle. From here, we're going to get a little bit into our feet. With pregnancy, a lot of times we might have swollen feet or pain in our feet. So this is the time to just give our feet a little bit of loving. So whenever you're ready, just choosing a foot that you'd like to start with, we're going to shift our weight into one foot. Let the toes come onto the mat or the ball of the foot. And maybe you want to have the hands on the hips. You can hold onto a wall or a chair as we do a little bit of circles with the ankle in one direction. So just allowing yourself to do circles in one direction and then maybe switching the direction. Noticing if there's any popping. Again, if it's too intense, feel free just to lift and lower the heel. And then coming back to stillness. And then we'll get a little bit more into our toes. So feel free to let the top of the foot come down onto the mat. So as if you're squishing the top of the foot and then squishing the toes. So you put a little bit more weight into the ball of the foot. So feel free to squish the top, squish the toes. Do it 2 more times. Squish the top, squish the toes. Last one. Squish the top and squish the toes. Good. Coming back to center. If you want to shake anything out, feel free to do so. We're going to come to the other side. So shifting your weight into the opposite leg. Maybe you come onto the toes or balls of the foot. Always welcome just to lift and lower that heel. Or if you'd like, circles with the ankle in whatever direction is calling you. Just notice how that feels. And whenever you're ready, feel free to go in the opposite direction. And then coming back to stillness, whenever you feel ready, we're going to give our little toes or the tops of the foot a stretch. So feel free, I'll just change my, so you can see me, bring the top of the foot and then squishing into the ball of the foot. So just allowing it for like a stretch. Like a flex and extend, but with a little bit of weight. So allowing any of that tension to release. Again, anything is too intense, feel free just to lift and lower the heel. We'll do one more wherever you're at. And feel free to come back to center, give everything a nice shake or wiggle. From here, coming to the long edge of the mat, opening up the legs, in a safe but wide distance. So probably wider than your shoulders, but where you still feel pretty safe and sturdy. You can bend into the knees, notice how that feels. Maybe you want to start to shift the weight from hip to hip, just noticing how that feels. Noticing how baby feels as you shift the weight from side to side. Maybe you want to start doing like a hip circle or as if you were hula hooping. And just letting the hips go around in this position. And maybe go in the opposite direction whenever you're ready, switching it up. Noticing how that feels. And then whenever you feel ready, feel free to come back to center, back to stillness. And then maybe here we open up our toes to the diagonal. So let the heels come in, and the toes splay out to a diagonal. Just notice if you still feel sturdy. You might need to readjust your feet, the footing. And then from here, maybe you want to extend the arms out as if you were a star. Really expanding your energy, noticing how that feels. Maybe you want to take a nice inhale in. And as you exhale, bending into the knees and elbows, coming into goddess pose. Inhale, extending back out to star. Exhale, bending knees and elbows, coming into goddess. Inhale, extend that energy back out. Exhale, bend knees and elbows. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, bend. Last one. Inhale, expand. And exhale, bend. And as you inhale, expand, feel free to release the arms back down. Let the toes come back to facing forward. And just take a nice deep breath here. Noticing how everything feels, how you're feeling, how baby's feeling. And then whenever you're ready, maybe you pivot the right toes out to the short edge of the mat. And then from here, we'll start to bend into that right knee and extend. So just going as far as feels good for you today. You can bring the hands onto the hips, hands onto baby. And just noticing how that knee feels. Does it feel pretty sturdy today? Do we feel a little wobbly? Just noticing those sensations. If you'd like, maybe you want to add some arms. Inhale as we bend the knee, extend the arms. Exhale, maybe hugging baby. Inhale, extend. Exhale, hugging baby. One more. Inhale, extend, and exhale, hugging baby. From here, feel free to bend into the knee. We're going to come into a side angle. Maybe you want to bring the hand onto the knee or lower down the forearm or elbow, whatever feels more appropriate for you today. And then with the other arm, perhaps you want to extend that left arm up to the sky or into a diagonal or maybe onto the hip, again, depending on how you feel today. And feel free to play with the posture, with the position, noticing if you'd like to come further down or if that doesn't feel right. And just coming back up. We'll take 2 more breaths here. Breathing for 1. Breathing for 2. Go ahead and slowly come back up to center. And whenever you're ready, pivot those toes back in. We're going to pivot the left toes out to the short edge of the mat. And same as the other side, feel free to start to bend and extend in the knee. You can have hands on baby, hands on the hips, whatever feels natural. Just noticing how that feels. And then whenever you feel ready, maybe you want to add some arms. So as we bend, maybe we open up the arms and exhale, hold the baby, extend. Inhale, bend and extend. Exhale, hold the baby. Inhale, really stretch open. And exhale, hold the baby. Then from here, feel free to bend into the knee again. We're coming into that side angle. Maybe the hand comes down to the thigh or knee. Maybe the forearm or elbow. Whatever feels best to you. Feel free to extend that right arm straight up or over or onto the hip. Breathing deep for 1. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 3. Slowly coming back up. Take your time, no rush. Pivot those left toes back in. And then from here, feel free to shake it out. Just give everything a nice shake or wiggle. And we're going to use our blocks for the next posture. So if you have them or if you have a chair, you can bring either or. I'm going to use the blocks. If you have a chair, just place it right in front so you can bring your hands down. We're going to come into a pyramid pose. So facing one of the short edges of the mat, keeping the feet at least hip width apart. Try not to bring them any closer. And just feel free to step forward maybe with that right foot. So both feet are facing forward. And then from here, take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, if you have a chair, maybe you bring it down there, or maybe you let yourself come down to the block. So just noticing how you feel, noticing if you have the space for baby, adjusting for either or, knowing you can bend into the knees if that feels better for you, noticing the sensations. 2 more breaths, breathing for 1, breathing for 2, slowly coming back up. Take your time, no rush. And go ahead and shake it out. So give everything a nice little wiggle or sway. And then we'll come and do the opposite side. So remember, keeping the feet at least hip distance apart, then maybe step forward with the left. And again, take a nice inhale. Exhale, maybe the hands come down onto a chair, or maybe you go down towards the blocks. Deep breaths here. Again, always welcome to bend. Protect the back of the leg. Breathing for 1. Breathing for 2. Whenever you're ready, slowly coming back up. Take your time, no rush, and we'll shake it out. This time we're going to come to a forward fold. You can bring the feet as wide as the mat. So you can keep them hip distance if that feels more stable or sturdy, or you can bring them out as wide as the mat. From here, taking a nice inhale, and then exhale, same thing. We're going to either come down to the chair or maybe down to the blocks. Just noticing how that feels. Breathing deep for 1. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 3. If you have a chair in front of you, go ahead and just let it push a little bit more forward. We will use the blocks for this next posture, so maybe just letting the toes spread out, again to the diagonal, and then maybe stacking one block. You can have it on the highest or maybe the second highest. We're going to come down into a yogi squat. So allowing yourself to slowly come down, maybe noticing where your hips are going to come. And then from here, you can use the block for support. You can still have that chair there, or you can just release and see if you can stay here. If this is uncomfortable, if you want to readjust, you can always readjust the block. Going a little lower, a little higher. And then baby's going to be there, depending on the size of baby. That might help you stay in the posture because counterbalance is always a good thing. Or you might feel like you're going to fall. So feel free to readjust the blocks to how it feels supportive for you. And we'll do one more deep breath here. And then safely, we're going to remove the block from underneath. Take your time, no rush. Hands onto the mat, coming back into a tabletop. Knees are nice and wide. We're going to come a little into our hips here. You can use the blocks if you'd like, or you can just use the mat and your body. But we're going to bring one leg or one foot out to the outside edge of the mat. So take your time, scoot that leg up, and we're going to keep the hands on the inside edge. So you stay here noticing if this feels right for you. Maybe you want to block and come up a little higher. You can always come up to the highest if that feels better. You can use that chair if you have that there. Breathing deep for 1. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 3. Go ahead and slowly let that leg come back to all fours. Keep the knees nice and wide. And then we'll move to the opposite side. So maybe you want to keep the blocks and just move them over, safely bringing that opposite foot to the outside edge. Again, hands are on the inside. And you might notice differences in the right and left side. So if you wanted to readjust, go lower, by all means, adjust the position to what you need. Breathing deep for 1. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 3. Go ahead and safely bring that leg back to all fours, nice and wide knees. And we'll come to a supported child's pose. So if you want to grab again that bolster and blanket or a pillow, and just let them come in between the legs. And just safely just coming as far down as feels good for you. So you can turn the cheek, turn your head, and just allow yourself to notice if this feels comfortable. If this isn't comfortable, maybe coming up a little higher, maybe onto your forearms, onto the pillows or bolsters. Or for whatever reason this isn't comfortable at all, feel free to come back into a seated position and just let yourself breathe for a couple breaths. Wherever you decide, just noticing maybe a little bit of length in the low back. So if you're in the supported child's pose, just noticing if you feel that length, If you're in seated, maybe noticing if you can lengthen that area as you sit. We'll take one more breath. And then no matter where you are, we're going to come onto our side for our final relaxation. So coming up from child's pose or scooting over from seated. There's a couple options. So we're going to come down. Maybe you want to have that bolster there, and maybe you're okay with coming all the way down onto your side. Maybe you want your hand or bicep there to support you. Maybe you want to bring that blanket in between the thighs. So this is one option. You can come completely down onto the mat. Maybe you still want something between the thighs. Or if you want a little bit more support, you can come into an inclined sideline. So stacking your blocks, maybe a tall and a short, and just getting those set up so that they can support you as maybe you come down onto your side. Again, you can hook onto the blocks, you can keep them there, but I do recommend something in between the thighs. Whatever feels welcoming for baby. For whatever reason, if side isn't comfortable for you, wherever you are on your pregnancy journey, you can keep this inclined and go on your back. Because it is inclined, it's safe. We don't want you all the way down on your back. So letting yourself settle into whatever shape it is you want for final relaxation. Maybe you'd like to close the eyes or choose a soft gaze point. Maybe you want to return to that smiley face or crescent moon breathing we started with. Just allowing the breath to go from left hip to right hip to left hip. Maybe visualizing that silver light once again. Noticing how the body feels with a slow, steady breath. Noticing how baby feels with a slow, steady breath. And you can continue that breathing, or if you prefer, releasing all controlled breathing, going back to your natural rhythm of breath. And just noticing the sensations in the toes, in the feet, in the shins and ankles, the calves and knees, tops of the thighs, backs of the thighs, hips and glutes. Noticing the sensations with baby. Taking a moment there to really notice all the sensations with baby. Maybe you feel ready to notice the sensations in your low back, in the mid back, in the upper back, in the chest. Perhaps even noticing your own heartbeat. And as you tune into your heartbeat, maybe you notice the heartbeat of baby. Perhaps becoming aware of the sensations at the shoulders, down the upper arms, into the elbows and forearms, wrists, palms, and fingers. Noticing the sensations in the neck and throat, into the face, Relaxing the jaw, the cheeks, the nose, and the forehead. Noticing all the sensations in the face and in the head. And allowing all of the sensations, in the body. All the sensations from the crown of the head down to the toes and the soles of the feet. Noticing all the sensations throughout your entire body. Feeling free to stay here and relax if you have extra time. Otherwise, slowly coming up to a seat. So if you're on your back in this inclined Shavasana, feel free to come to your side first. If you're like me in the sideline, just safely, slowly coming up to a seat. And feel free to open the eyes, take a look around, notice what you see, notice what you feel, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.